All right. Well, that was refreshing. Um, so the Knicks lose this one by a final score of it doesn't matter. This was not a game for most of the second half, and really, if we're being honest, this wasn't a game from tip off. This is what a game looks like, where you have one team that is not nearly as talented as the other team. Get that out of the way first. I'm sure there will be takes about this player played bad or Tibbs could have done this differently or this and that and the other thing. I mean, look, the Raptors have had a rough season as far as injuries go and health and safety protocols and the whole thing. They were also playing pretty inconsistently to start the year. I'm not saying they're like a top 10 team or anything. They're going to be after this game probably about 17th or 18th in net rating. I think they're a little higher than that. They're a top half of the league team. They're a good team. Certainly better than the Thunder. And the Knicks with the talent they had tonight are, I don't know. Do you put them in with the Magic, the Rockets, the Pistons, and I guess yes, the Thunder and the Pelicans without Zion? Probably not as good as the Pelicans, not as good as the Thunder. Yeah, that's the team that we watched tonight. It is what it is. It's interesting. A lot of people got very excited to see this team without Julius Randle. I was one of them because I thought take him out of the equation, more ball movement, more guard-heavy offense, better defense. And I think what the last two games have revealed, to me at least, and I'm sure they revealed different things to everybody. What they revealed to me at least is a couple things. One, I'm going to give this credit to my good friend Ray Marcano, friend of the Knicks Film School newsletter, and he said this during halftime tonight. Role players are role players for a reason, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone. Deuce McBride comes in, has a good game, and whatever it was, a week or couple, 3-4 weeks ago, same thing. Quentin Grimes. You could extend it to Obi Toppin. I'm going to put Obi in a different category. I'm going to get back to Obi in a second. Who else? I'll throw Emmanuel quickly in this category. Guys, and two of these guys are rookies. A couple second-year players. Like, guys have roles for a reason, and guys get drafted where they are for a reason, and guys just are where they are in the pecking order of a team for a reason. And it's because they're only, capable of doing so much. And oftentimes when forced into a bigger role, the things you see in the smaller sample size do not come to fruition. And they certainly didn't come to fruition tonight or in the last game. And I know after the last game, I went on and on and on about how they got good shots. They just missed them. Well, sometimes when a player gets put into a role they're not used to, those shots that they're missing when they're coming in as like the energy guy and the whole thing, that shot's not going to go in the same way because the pressure's on in a little bit of a different way. Keep in mind, Deuce McBride, the best game we saw him play was when he was kind of forced into action after, Derrick Rose went down in the Houston game. That was unexpected. He didn't have any time to think about that. He didn't have any time to dwell on that before the game or anything. And, tonight, McBride's a little bit of a weird one because Tibbs obviously saw some stuff he didn't like early and took him out of the game. I'm not going to make a big deal out of that. It's certainly not why they lost. In any case. But it's why I've been – and look, I've been as hard on Randle as anyone over the last few weeks. But it's why I've been consistently, of the position that, like, it's not about burying Randle. It's about getting Randle right. This team's not going to go anywhere, without good players. And they didn't have their three best offensive creators for either of these games. They didn't have Julius Randle, they didn't have Derrick Rose, and they didn't have Kemba Walker. Obviously, tonight, they played a better team, and they were also down an additional player from what they were down on Friday night in Mitchell Robinson. certainly helped in terms of the rim protection. Raptors are a big team. I know they don't have a traditional center, but they are a big fucking team. And they exploited the fact that the Knicks didn't really have, as was commented on the broadcast several times, they exploited the fact that the Knicks didn't have a rim protector. Although, honestly, if Mitchell Robinson played in this game, the result is not, markedly different. I doubt it. So what were they left with? They were left with Evan Fournier. They were left with R.J. Barrett. They were left with Obi Toppin. They were left with Alec Burks. And they were left with Emmanuel Quickly. And a couple of those guys I thought had decent games. I thought, well, actually, one of those guys had a good game. I thought Alec Burks had a good game. He only finished 4 for 10. Let me rephrase that. I think Alec Burks had a good half. I think Alec Burks rescued the first half when he came in, subsided in the second half. But at least Alec Burks shows you, he's a guy, get in there, do some stuff. If I was a contender, I said this on the halftime Zoom, if I was a contender, I would be calling the Knicks on a daily basis about Alec Burks to see if I could get Alec Burks for a late first-round pick. Because I'm not saying he's going to swing a championship or even a playoff series, but that guy could swing a playoff game or two for the right team in the playoffs. And then from there, I thought Obi Toppin, by the way, 45 minutes for Obi Toppin. How you doing? 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. It's, my complaint about Obi Toppin, and I know he was aggressive there on a couple of plays late in the fourth quarter in garbage time. They didn't go down. I would have liked for Obi Toppin to be more aggressive. I thought he was a little bit too careful. I thought he was a little bit too hesitant. When he got an opportunity to do stuff, I thought he picked his spots well. My favorite player from this game by far was Obi Toppin, and I actually absolutely hated the criticism that he got after the Thunder game, which was like, Knicks fail with Obi Toppin in place of Julius Randle. That's not why they fucking lost that game. And anybody who watched that game knows it. Obi Toppin was deferring too much in that game. He deferred too much tonight. He wasn't assertive enough. But when he picks his spots, usually good things happen. And I know he's not an elite defender, and I know he's still working it out on with the shooting. I get all of that. He is not a big time player yet, but from what we see from him, especially tonight with the passing, I thought the one positive. If you're going to ask me to take one positive out of this game tonight, as difficult as that may be, it's Obi Toppin's passing, playmaking, head for the game. And when I said before I thought he was too unselfish, I didn't mean those smart passes. I thought just at times demanding the ball more. And what the real shame of it is, and what I really am upset about after both of these games, and I know I just complimented Randle and said that this team needs Randle back, and not, let me be very clear about this, not back playing like he was. Again, if it's the version of Randle that we've been getting, it would have made fuck of a difference. But they need Julius Randle back playing some approximation of the version of Julius Randle that he was last year. What makes me upset after watching this game is I would have loved to see this roster, this rotation, with even give me one of Derrick Rose or Kemba Walker. 35 minutes of either of those guys. And I didn't get any of them. And as a result, at point guard and as a guy to really initiate the offense, the Knicks were left with Alec Burks, who, God bless him, did what he could. Emmanuel Quickly, well, I'm just going to say it. I've been the biggest fan of Quickly as anyone over the last 2 years. I think he was exposed a little bit in these couple of games. Deuce McBride, who I think, again, you want to blame Thibodeau for being a little harsh on the kid. That's fine. I mean, I'm not going to get worked up about it, but clearly not quite ready for prime time. He was, again, there's a reason he was drafted when he was. Smaller guard, thought of more of a combo guard than a point guard. And then R.J. Barrett, who I got to tell you, I know he ended up with however many points he ended up with. I was not impressed by R.J. Barrett today. He had a couple of nice moves. I thought it was encouraging that he had a couple of nice moves, fresh off of some nice moves in the last game. He had some decisions and an effort that was, I don't want to be too strong in my language, but left a bit to be desired. Let's just say that. His attention to detail, his carefulness in his game, his just everything. And again, is this a role he's accustomed to? No, it's not a role he's really had all year. It was a role he had a little bit last year as essentially a secondary creator. Apologies, my youngest daughter is screaming for some reason in the background. I don't know why. I think they're giving her a bath. I think that's probably why. But yeah, this is the role that RJ Barrett. This is the role that RJ Barrett foresees for himself in the league. I think even the biggest RJ fan would say that they acknowledge that RJ wants to be the guy. And RJ got to be the guy in the last couple of games, and it didn't go so well, you know? And when you're the guy, you got to be the guy on both ends at all times and, you know, make good decisions and all that stuff. And I didn't love what we saw there. You know, Fournier gave you his 20 points, you know, bravo. It's like, it's the same shit from Fournier that we've been seeing. You know, I know it was an efficient 20 points. I don't really care. He is just not, he's a guy that I'm ready to be done with. And I think a lot of Knicks fans are ready to be done with. Quentin Grimes, 22 minutes. You know, I liked how Grimes competed on defense. It was nice. Kevin Knox played a basketball game. That is that. But yeah, my big takeaway, and then I'll get to the super chats, and then we're gonna get out of here a little early tonight. My big takeaway is I really would have liked to see them be able to play both of these games with, again, either Kemba or Derrick Rose. If they were able to play with both Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose, I would have been very, very curious to see I think things would have gone differently. How much would they have gone differently? I don't know. But they didn't stand a chance tonight on the offensive end. They just didn't have enough playmaking, didn't have enough shot creation, didn't have enough poise. All the things. They didn't have enough of anything. They got outclassed and, tried hard for most of the game, and then some of the guys let go of the rope. And that's really all there is to it. All right, I'm going to get to super chats and some regular chats, I'm sure, as well, too. Lunas, am I right? I still think this team without Randle, but having Derrick Rose and Kemba and Mitch would have been very interesting to see. Again, it's so funny how my thought process coincides with some of the people that come and watch these things. Maybe it's an echo chamber and we're the only people who think it, but yeah. Also, Obi's passing was interesting to see, 100%. Yeah, and Mitch too. I'll give that as well. I thought, the Thunder were a bad matchup for Mitch. I kind of said that 2 nights ago. I think tonight, although every fucking Raptor was hitting everything. But yeah, I think they could have used Mitch tonight. And if they had Mitch and, again, either of Rose or Kemba, I would have been curious to see what it would have looked like. And again, that slots guys into their roles. It means you got 18 minutes of Kevin Knox tonight. You wouldn't get any minutes of Kevin Knox tonight. You got 22 minutes of Grimes. You got 45 minutes of Toppin. Maybe I kind of like the 45 minutes of Toppin. I'm not gonna lie. But you would have got guys more. You got 30 minutes of Taj Gibson tonight. I think with one of those point guards and Mitch would have equalized things a little bit, and I would have been curious to see it too. Kevin Danishevsky, Fred VanVleet should be an all-star. Yeah, quick word on Fred VanVleet. It was a crazy time. Other people, I'm sure, reported this as well. But I said it on the day that I think free agency opened in 2020 when Fred VanVleet signed his extension. The Knicks wanted Fred VanVleet. I had reported during the year Fred VanVleet was number 1 on the Knicks board, free agency wish list, whatever you want to call it. And it never got to the point where, again, my understanding, it never got to the point where Fred VanVleet would have seriously considered coming to New York, almost regardless of the offer. So I don't know that there was an offer. I don't know that there wasn't an offer, but they wanted him, and he just had zero interest in coming here. and maybe things would be different if he was going to be a free agent this offseason. Although he seems like he loves Toronto pretty well. That dude's awesome. I mean, he's awesome. Scotty Barnes. You want to talk about the guy that like Knicks fans who like, and again, I don't want to talk down to anybody, but people who put like RJ on this like highest of high pedestals in terms of this guy. He's like a do everything wing, and he defends, and he could pass, and he could shoot, and he could finish, and he's like this jack of all trades, but like a supersized, like a better version of that. Like, you know who that guy actually is? It's Scotty Barnes, and he's doing this shit as a rookie, and he's better as a rookie than RJ's been in 2.5 years. And I'm sorry if that's harsh to say, but it's true. That dude's gonna be a fucking star in this league. And then Pascal Siakam, the guy we want to talk about Julius Randle falling off a cliff after making second team All NBA. That was Pascal Siakam last year. After he made second team All NBA, he kind of went into oblivion. There's some interesting stuff, with the relationship between him and the team. It was I think there was a 1-game suspension or whatever it was. That dude's still really fucking talented. So you got Siakam, you got Van Fleet, you got Barnes, and who am I forgetting? Oh my God, probably the best player on the team, OG Anunoby, who absolutely took RJ behind the woodshed. And man, I mean, that could have been a scene from Pulp Fiction there in the basement. Oh boy, that was unfortunate. But yeah, it's a good team. And they draft and develop well, and kudos to them. Anyway, RJ looks so rough tonight. This is more of Kevin's comment. His defense was terrible. I don't know if it was terrible. I mean, again, it's OG Anunoby. The guy, if he had missed any games, would probably be in the All-Star conversation this year. He's really good. I think RJ had good moments on defense, and he had other moments where he was a fucking space cadet. On the other hand, there are positives. I thought Grimes looked really good in his minutes, and I liked Obi's game. Obi's was good, and Grimes played some nice defense. Apparently, Andrew didn't care for my Pulp Fiction reference. Keith Alston. Trade Randle, Kemba, and 2 firsts for Ben Simmons. Okay, hold on. Let's process this. Trade Randle, Kemba, and 2 firsts for Ben Simmons. Okay. Trade Evan, Mitch, and a second for Miles Turner. Trade Nerlens Burks and a first for Christian Wood. Nice young core. So the Knicks are trading every draft pick they could trade because the rules for trading draft picks, you can only trade every other year, and you can only trade 7 years out. So we're going to trade every draft asset we could possibly trade, and we're going to build around Ben Simmons, Miles Turner, and Christian Wood, and then I guess the young guys. I'm going to pass for now, but check back with me tomorrow. Okay, giddy up. I'm gonna take some regular chat questions because as I expected, this is gonna be a light night tonight. Big football Sunday. Hopefully anybody in here who's in a fantasy Super Bowl is doing better than me. I had the misfortune of going up against who is this guy's name? Jamar Chase today, who put up 58 points on me in my fantasy championship. Not what you want. Exactly. Okay. D. Ebanks says, if you think RJ sucks, then why would Sacramento trade us Fox? I don't think RJ sucks at all. I think RJ is a good player. I think RJ just, again, if you've been watching me or listening to me for really since the day RJ got drafted, I'm high on RJ Barrett, but I'm just lower on him than people who are like, he's the second coming. He's going to be, an all-NBA level player. He could be the second best player in a championship team, all that stuff. He's a good player, but he's a good player that I think is not yet at the place where he can help teams win, certainly not as the first guy. And I think last season, you saw what RJ Barrett could do as the second guy and as the third guy. And I say both of those things because before Derrick Rose got here, I think RJ Barrett was the number 2. And after Derrick Rose got here, I think RJ Barrett was the number 3. And lo and behold, what happened? After Derrick Rose got here, they got to be a really good team. So that gave you evidence that with a really well-oiled machine of a team, which last year's Knicks were, if you plugged RJ Barrett into the number 3 hole and you had a really good number 4 in probably Bullock or Burks, give or take, they were the 4 or the 5, and then you had like a nice bench, like you could be a pretty good team. Where my only pushback is with RJ is the craziness about like what could he be as like a number 1, or if you like ran all kinds of like he had the opportunity to really take this game into his hands tonight and the other night, and he had some really nice moments the other night. He had some nice moments tonight, but he's not that level of player. And for anybody who's like, oh, he's only in year 3, he's only 21 years old. Yeah, I hear that, but then go and look at what most of the real stars, like the real stars in the league, did in their third season. And it's usually you usually already have an indication that like, okay, this guy is going to be special. Can RJ make an all-star team? Absolutely, RJ can make an all-star team. Can he still be a really helpful piece on like a championship team? Absolutely. Really big-time, high-level player. I'm just, when I see what I see with him, I point it out. And whereas Barnes, that dude, he's ready now. He's ready to help teams win now. Especially with that jump shot, which I don't think a lot of people expected. What that has to do with De'Aaron Fox, I'm not really sure. All right, we got another super chat here from Hush Zoo. Our bench is insane against other teams' benches, but not quite there yet against other teams' starters. Might be my most outrageous take, but Grimes has the highest ceiling on the team out of our young guys. Wow. I will say highest ceiling on the team out of the young guys. For me, goodness. Grimes falls 4th behind quickly Obi and Barrett, which is probably not saying much. I like Grimes. I think Grimes is a nice player. That is a hot take. I don't know. I really do go back and forth at this point on all three. There have been moments this season where I've thought RJ has the highest ceiling. There were moments this season where I thought Obi has the highest ceiling, and there were moments this season where I thought Quickly has the highest ceiling. I'd be interested to put that to a poll to most Knicks fans. I'm sure RJ would win, but I wonder what it would look like. Who has the highest ceiling out of those three? I don't know. That's a good one. I don't know. Gun to my head right now, I think I still say RJ, despite what I just said about him. But Obi's close, and I know he hasn't had a good couple of games. I quite frankly, he hasn't had a great season. Well, no, I think he's had a good season, but whatever. I'll put Emmanuel Quickly right there too. From Matt Smith, Jason M, and Frank. It's November 1st, 2022. Who is the Knicks starting lineup in your rough estimation? My God. Really going to ask me that? Hold on. Let me dwell on that for a second. I think there's another super chat comment that I could buy time with. Kevin Danishevsky. EF, Evan Fournier. 20 points. Oh, I think I know where this is going. 20 points. Did he really have zeros across the board? Yeah, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 blocks, 0 steals. That's not what you want. Him and Knox, all-star anti-D team. I mean, God bless Knox. I think I got a comment from my buddy Frank Barrett about my hesitancy to pick on Knox. I mean, what do you want me to say about Knox? He's not an NBA player. I'm not going to pick on a guy who shouldn't be in the league. He's not an NBA player. That's all. And Fournier is an NBA player, which is what makes Fournier all the more frustrating because he is an NBA player and he can actually do shit. But yeah, he was frustrating tonight. He was not great. Okay, let me put on the old what's that hat that or rub my crystal ball, whatever it is. Starting lineup next year. There's only one name who I feel confident thinking. No, it's not thinking cap. It's like the Andrew just texted me thinking cap. It's not thinking cap. It's the with like the wraps and there's like a thing in the middle, like a ball or a gem or something. It's like the Swami. Where's the thing? I don't know. The guy who I have the most confidence in saying is going to be in the starting lineup next year is RJ Barrett. And I have zero, like not zero. I don't even have a lot of confidence that RJ Barrett is going to be in the starting lineup next year because I don't have that much confidence that RJ Barrett is going to be on the team next year. I think he'll be on the team. He'll probably be on the team. But like, would I bet my life on it? Absolutely not. I wouldn't bet my life on it. I have no idea what this team is going to intend to do in the offseason. Like, if this season goes the way it seems to be going, and they get a high pick, and they feel like they could turn around and they could trade that high pick to get a star who Julius Randle wants to play with, and they can trade for another guy using some of their young assets, and they're like they could talk themselves into a big three. Well, guess who's going out in that deal? RJ Barrett. I'll say if you put a gun to my head right now, I'll say RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Miles Turner, God, this sucks. De'Aaron Fox and Quentin Grimes. De'Aaron Fox, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Miles Turner. Sure, why not? Oh, that's right. I forgot about him, Andrew. Andrew just texted me LeBron James. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. Okay. This is from Jason M. I think Kemba may be out for a long time. Yeah, so we should probably update anybody either listening to tomorrow or right after the game. The Knicks, according to The Athletic, are planning on signing Ryan Arcidiacono. Mike Breen also said on the broadcast tonight that the Knicks are awaiting results of I don't know if it was an MRI or whatever on Kemba's knee. It would not shock me in the least if Kemba Walker has played his last game for the Knicks. I'm just going to say that right now. I hope not. I don't think that that's likely. I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but would it shock me? No, it would not shock me. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Robert Cross, Mr. # 53 wins. Happy New Year, Robert. Here's the positive and the highest ceiling. Obi. If you can develop a respectable three and punish smaller players in the post, watch out. # 53 wins. Here's the thing. I think you can punish smaller players in the post right now. I think tonight, as much as I was very excited to see it, revealed that Obi at the 5 does still give you some serious issues. And I knew that going in. But that's why Breen said it tonight, and it could not be it couldn't be said enough. And that's why Mike Breen's the best announcer in sports. Obi developing the jump shot unlocks everything. Because as of right now, his best utilization on offense is still either at the 5 or as a 4 with like a stretch 5. If he can just make that jumper, he doesn't even need to make above the break threes. Just make corner threes at like a 36, 37, 38% clip. That's fine. If he could do that, I think he could take advantage of mismatches on smaller players right now. He's such a smart player. He's such a high energy player. He's such an unselfish player. And he is a talented player and he is a skilled player. Yes, he still needs to play off of guards to be effective, talented guards to be effective. But guess what? There's more and more and more talented guards coming into the league every day. Man, I don't think that there's anything that could come on the table this trade deadline or this offseason that would get me to trade Obi Toppin if I'm the Knicks. Which is funny because I just said RJ Barrett. I still put RJ Barrett above Obi Toppin in terms of the Knicks like best young players. To me, without question, Obi Toppin is their most untradeable asset. Because I still think there is an Amare Stoudemire-esque effect he can have on an offense if you put the right team around him. And I think he's already shown enough that he warrants the investment of putting a certain type of team around him. I think he's that good. I'm so high on this kid, and nothing about the last 2 days has dissuaded me from that opinion. This is from Frank Miranda. Mac, it's your boy Frank from Patreon. Oh, what's going on, Frank? How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you, and thanks for being a patron of Knicks Film School. We all appreciate it. We need to trade RJ. Oh my God, Frank's coming in hot. He's coming in hot. He ain't it. I'd send him to Sacramento in a heartbeat for Fox. He has regressed, especially on the defensive end. I'm not going to go there yet. God. I'm not going to excuse his game tonight on him being placed in a role that is not normal for him at this level of the game. But I also am going to give him a bit of a pass. My concern for RJ and why I wonder not wonder. Why I think the Knicks will listen on him if the right move comes up is because, again, I fully believe he is a player who, in his mind, he is a number one option on like a good team. And I don't want to say that and have it come off like he doesn't care about winning or he doesn't care about doing the little things to win or any of that stuff, because I don't. But I don't know. I wonder what his long-term like we always come back to the same thing. What if RJ was a number 3? He would be so much more effective as a number 3. And we saw him as a number 3 last year. And as I just said 20 minutes ago, it worked great. But I wonder how he's going to feel about that when he's not 20 years old, but when he's 23 or 24 or 25 or 26. Now, the obvious comeback to that is, well, he's going to be a better player at 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 years old than he is right now. So have patience and give him time, which is why I'm not willing to go here yet on this comment. But if I am the Knicks, I am at least asking myself, where is the development curve here for this player? And if it tops out at a certain level, is he going to be happy and comfortable being placed in the resulting role that skill level requires him to be in? And by the way, how much money is he going to want for the right to do all this? Because that's something that's going to be front and center in about 6 months when his negotiations for his extension kick in or can be had. And I am fascinated to see how that goes, as I've said on here several times. Greg Film Stuff. Excuse me. The scotch is flowing tonight. The fact that Obi only had 19, 6, and 6, and I thought he was too passive at times is exactly why I like him over Jules going forward. Yeah, let me just be very clear. Any anything I said earlier in the stream, complimentary of Julius, and like why they need Julius, and any light criticism of Obi. Like if you're asking me if fork in the road, two paths. Do I pick the road with Obi or do I pick the road with Randle for this team moving forward? 10 times out of 10, I pick the road with Obi Toppin, and it's not a consideration. It's not. I don't have to think about it. He's Marion slash stat 2.0. I love the Marion slash stat. Obviously, Marion's one of the greatest defenders of all time, in his prime. And that's not Obi. But again, I don't feel like Obi gives a lot up on the defensive end. If you play him at the 4 and you're able to slot him on the least threatening wing on the opposing team, I think he's smart enough and athletic enough and agile enough to hold his own. There was a moment late in this game where, again, it was the fourth quarter, I know, but someone, I forget who it was, someone beat Obi off the dribble. And Obi recovered, and there was a play at the rim, and it was Siakam. That's right. It was Siakam. And Breen was like, Siakam missed the layup. And I'll be damned if I didn't see Obi get a couple of fingertips on that ball because he recovered and he didn't give up. And that's Obi. He plays with effort, energy all the time. He's going to get smarter as a basketball player. He picks stuff up. I think I'm already going back on what I said before about who's our best asset. I love Obi Toppin so much. I cannot speak highly enough about Obi Toppin. Who would be the perfect point guard for the Knicks is the other part of Greg's question. And thank you for the super chat, Greg. Jesus Christ. Who would be the perfect point guard on what version of the Knicks? The version of the Knicks that you're talking about, where Obi Toppin is the starting power forward, and let's say Mitchell Robinson's your starting center, and you got a couple of solid wings, maybe RJ and I don't know. I guess Fournier. Who would be the perfect point guard for the Knicks? Oh boy, I'd love to see Donovan Mitchell on this team. That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Alas. I mean, there's nobody available in free agency, so it's like, what are we talking about? You talking about I've obviously mentioned Fox before. Do I think De'Aaron Fox is the perfect point guard for this team? I don't know. Like how much of De'Aaron Fox being an atrocious player this season is that Fox? Is that Fox like in Sacramento? Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you right now, Greg. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like Steph Curry? Yeah, sure. But like in terms of like what we're envisioning for I think with a team where Obi Toppin is like a featured player, man, Darius Garland would look awfully fucking good next to Obi Toppin and Mitchell Robinson. Yeah. Oh well. All right, let's keep it going here. Oh wow, Super Chat got lit up all of a sudden. The Truth NBA. I think Obi's a 20-25, 10-5 guy if he's aggressive and has a decent point guard. Do you agree? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Because we just saw it, right? And like he's still feeling his way. And he felt his way in college. It took him a little bit of time. Again, he's not playing the Fordhams of the world anymore. But yeah, I mean, because he's going to get 10 on a good team, a team that has shooters, like real shooters and some real creation, where he's just a finisher. Like if you put him on the Warriors, and again, I know that's probably not the best comp because the Warriors are just defensively they're hellacious in a good way. But like if you gave him like, Steph and like Draymond at the 5 and you put Obi as the 4 next to Draymond and Steph and like two shooters, like that's 14 points a game that he doesn't even need to think about, or you put him on like a classic like run and gun team with a point guard who could throw a good lob, who could like fake a guy out and actually give you a matchup advantage. and then throw a lot, like, again, 10, 12, 14 points without thinking about it. And then the question is, can he get whatever, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points either on fouls or in isolation or on putbacks or whatever else? Like, yeah, I think he could do that. And then the 10 and 5, if he's getting 30, 35 minutes a night, I don't think 10 and 5 is going to be hard for him. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. The defense, I've praised his defense, but I would still have a little bit of concerns there. Sure enough, I thought this was going to be a 20-minute live stream, and here we are on minute 40. Slacker Hero, hard to see the Knicks being any higher than an A seed. Completely agree with the way they've played so far. Shouldn't they just prioritize development and trade some of these vets, get rid of some of the bad money? Yeah, it's easier. It's easier to say than do. Because I don't like put Rand, like they're not going to move Julius Randle before his extension is even kicked in. I know I'm the one who's brought it up several times this year. They're not going to do it. So you're really talking about Fournier, Burks, and Kemba. I'm sure Kemba would be willing to be moved to a decent team where he could play. Who wants him with $10 million actually guaranteed next year? I don't know. I don't know who wants Evan Fournier. And again, the Knicks are not, like, with Brock Aller on this staff, the Knicks are not gonna, like, trade Evan Fournier for like a guy. They're not gonna, like, to trade Evan Fournier right now. You'd be getting like an expiring contract of like not a good player, maybe, and you might have to give up like a second round pick to make that deal. Or you're like getting a player who's like not very good and has another year left on his contract, and then it's just like a straight swap. Like, that's not great asset management. Like, at some point in time, some team in the league, I know this sounds crazy to say, will want Evan Fournier and will want to give up a real thing to get him. The Boston Celtics gave up 2 second-round picks to get him at last year's trade deadline. What are those second-round picks? He was an expiring contract. I get all that. But, like, I don't want our potential tanking ambitions to get in the way of just smart roster management. You know, that has to come first. And if you win a few more, like, I don't think this team is good enough to get a really great shot at the top 4 in the lottery anyway. So, you know, I don't know. Biological GOAT, it's okay to criticize Randle for the low energy, lackadaisical play while acknowledging that the kids need more time. Best comment of the night, 100%. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to read it again in case anybody didn't hear. It's okay to criticize Randle for the low energy, lackadaisical play while acknowledging that the kids need more time. I am going to take a screenshot of this comment because that is going to find its way into the Knicks Film School newsletter tomorrow. So Andrew Claudio just forwarded me a tweet that Hard Knicks Live podcast tweeted, and Berman asked the question. Tom Thibodeau on social media's opinion of Julius Randle being meaningless, and on Kemba, who he benched a few weeks ago, suddenly being a terrific player. So this is the response.
Julius is taking on the heat on social media, and now you don't have him for 2 games, and the team really struggles. I mean, does it show how much of a cog he really is to you guys?
He's a terrific player, you know. And the thing is, it's and that's the you know, it's the day and age of social media, and that's what social media is. You try not to pay attention to it because it's really meaningless. Whether it's praise or criticism, doesn't really matter. It's really what matters is what we think. And so we know how important it is, but it's like the backup quarterback. Everyone thinks the backup should start until he has to start. And so, hey, Julius is a terrific player. You know, Derek's terrific. Kemba's terrific. But you know, guys are going to miss games, and when they do, there's terrific players on our bench. Get in there and get the job done.
Yeah. That's about what I would have expected Tom to say. It's a good response. I don't know if I'm supposed to have a take on that, but it's a good response. CT Pittman, what's going on, CT? Good to see you as always. What's up, Magri? I'm just hoping the second half of the season yields better results than the first half. Still a lot of basketball left to be played. Yeah, 100%. And we should just say, so obviously they lost this game. The Raptors passed them in the standings to move into 10th place. The Raptors are a better basketball team than the Knicks. Probably even when the Knicks are healthy, if we're being honest. Boston also passed them because I don't think the Celtics have played yet. So the Knicks right now are 17-20, 8.5 games back, tied with the Atlanta Hawks, 2.5 games up on the Indiana Pacers. I am going to go out on a limb and say that I think the Sixers have righted the ship just enough. Maybe Cleveland falls out of that top 6 and there's an opportunity, but at this point, it's not about the games that you are back of Cleveland if you assume that they're going to come back down to earth. It's about how many teams are ahead of you. The Celtics are ahead of you. The Raptors are ahead of you. The Wizards are ahead of you. I think the Wizards are going to fall back also. And the Hornets are ahead of you. Hornets don't have a great point differential. About the same as the Knicks. I mean, my realistic, if you're someone who wants a team to continue to try to win games this season, I mean, realistically, I think if they could get in the 7th seed, that would be an absolute miracle. More realistic, probably the 8 or the 9. You know, get a home game in I don't even know which I would prefer. Get a home game in Madison Square Garden for the 9-10, and then go somewhere. Well, I guess you'd rather be the AC, right? Because you could win the game on the road and get into the 7th spot. And if you lose, you still get a home game at Madison Square Garden. So, yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'd sign for the 8 or the 9 right now. And you know what? I'll still take that over tanking. Again, and the reason I'll take that over tanking is because I don't know how much fruit tanking is really going to yield you this year. Because it would take... Because I don't think OKC, well, I was about to say I don't think OKC has pulled out all their stops yet. And I don't think OKC has pulled out all their stops yet. I think I have some more tanking chicanery in them. You're not finishing worse than Houston, Detroit, or Orlando. Throw in OKC, that means at absolute worst, you're going to be, or best, I guess, depending on how you look at it, you're going to be the 5th worst team in the league. Portland, are they packing it in? I don't know. San Antonio was actually good. Sacramento, we'll see. Minnesota can't be discounted. And then Indiana, what direction did they go? Like, for anybody who is advocating the tanking route, I think there is a real path. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think there is a real path to finishing with the 5th worst record in the league. Probably more like 6th or 7th realistically, but 5th, 6th, 7th, something in that range. That could get you somewhere. Would you rather be that? Would you rather be the 5th or 6th worst record in the league, or would you rather be the 8th seed in the East or the 9th seed in the East? I don't know. Different people have different opinions. Kevin McEwen. What's going on, Kev? Good to see you as always. With the talk of how good Obi can be with the right point guard, I couldn't help but wonder what he could have looked like with Lonzo Ball at the point guard position, especially during the regular season, Kevin, because what does Lonzo Ball want to do? Lonzo Ball wants to run. And run and run and run and run some more. And with Obi Toppin, and man, if you gave me another solid defender in the backcourt, a guy who could create turnovers, I mean, let's just call it like it is, Alex Caruso, right? And Alex Caruso is a backup, obviously, for Chicago, and Chicago is where they are because of DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine. I'm not saying that we would be the Bulls, but yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I think that the what if on Lonzo for me is actually is more interesting than the what if on DeRozan, because I don't know. I have trouble seeing DeRozan fitting in seamlessly on this team, and like all of a sudden it's all wonderful. And I have DeRozan probably 4th or 5th in my MVP right now. So that's not a knock on DeRozan. It's just more of a knock on some of the other pieces. Hey, what's up? Say hi. Okay, you could finish the live stream with me. But yeah, it's a very fair question. All right, we got a couple more, and then we're gonna get out of here. Robert Cross. If you could get him, Jalen Brunson and I say this as an SHU grad fan, otherwise Rory Sparrow. I love Jalen Brunson. He's an unrestricted free agent this summer. I don't know what he's going to cost. I think the Knicks will be in on him. I don't know how much you want to pay that guy. He's a backup point guard. He's a good backup point guard. But, hey, our backup point guard right now is 33-year-old Derrick Rose. So, who knows? Drew P. Obi needs a shot or elite defense to be a starter. You have to brush your teeth. Go. Love you. Don't trip. Let me move this thing. Okay. You look very beautiful, Elsa. I don't know if that's true. I think Obi could be maybe not a top level starter. The shot will help. I'll give you that. He needs the shot. To be a starter on a good team, he needs the shot to come around. Aaron Roy, thoughts on trading Randle for Patrick Williams? The money does. I don't laugh at that because it's absurd. Zach Lowe and someone were just having a conversation the other day about trading Pat Williams for Jeremy Grant on the Pistons, obviously with some other salary. So it would need to be Pat Williams and salary for Julius Randle. Would the Bulls do that? Man, I shouldn't have laughed. Maybe if they're willing to trade Pat Williams for Jeremy Grant, Pat Williams and salary, would they be willing to do it for Julius Randle? Holy shit, you just might have broke my brain. I would do that in a heartbeat. I love Patrick Williams. I was a big fan of Patrick Williams in the draft. I would have loved to see. I love Obi Toppin, but man, that's a good one. Hold on, I'm looking up the Bulls' salary cap right now. This is what happens when you get me thinking. So it would need to be Pat and they have Derek Jones' salary. Does that get it done? 9.7, 10, 17 plus 5. Oh, I don't know if that gets it done. You might be. Yeah, Derek Jones Jr. Thank you, Andrew. I think that gets it done. Maybe you throw in one more salary like a Tony Bradley. Oh, boy. What's the worst that happens? You call and they say no? Shit. Oh, my goodness. I would put Julius Randle on my shoulders and I would carry him to Chicago if that got it done. I don't know. All right, we got one more here from Jason M. And Andrew, tell me if I missed anything. With the struggles of Quickly, McBride on offense, and Kemba Rose's health, I could see the Knicks trading for Colin Sexton either at the deadline or the offseason. Jason, that's a really interesting one. While we're on the old salary tables, Colin Sexton makes $6.3 million this year, which means you could trade him straight up for Alec Burks. If I'm Cleveland and Dan Gilbert is like hell bent on making the playoffs this year, I know they just traded for Rondo. Alec Burks could help Cleveland. I'll give you another name. He was in Cleveland already. I have no idea if they want him, but you want to talk about a guy who'd be an interesting Ricky Rubio replacement. How about Derrick Rose? And he's signed for an additional year, as is Alec Burks. And by the way, and again, the Knicks are not going to send these players someplace that they don't want to be. So they would have to sign off on it. All of a sudden, this is where the team option becomes incredibly valuable to a team that doesn't get to sign free agents whenever they want. No one wants to fucking go play for Cleveland. So, oh man, you got me really thinking about whether the Knicks would make a play for Colin Sexton at the deadline. If they did make a play for Colin Sexton at the deadline, my My assumption is that the Cavs would know that Sexton would not be willing to sign for what they would like to sign him for, which is basically six-man money, is what I'm assuming. And then, the Knicks would obviously have his restricted free agent rights. And how would that go this summer, in a summer where there's not a lot of big talent, but also there's not a lot of teams with money? I don't like Colin Sexton, and that interests me. That's an interesting move. And I do not like Colin Sexton, but it's not nuts. I'll just say that. It's not nuts. Oh, you're going to have me thinking now, Jason. Okay. That's it. This has been great. Again, this is why Knicks fans are the best fans in sports. We just watched a G League team, or not a G League team, a Summer League team get blown out in a season where nothing crazy is happening this season. And yet, I'm on here talking for an hour, and there are still, upwards of 300 people sitting here with me. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks to everybody, obviously, in the chat and the super chat, the whole thing. We're going to be putting up I believe, a bonus episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast, something that's normally only available for patrons. We're going to be putting it up tomorrow on the Knicks Film School feed. If you like that episode, feel free to subscribe to the Patreon level, where for only $7 a month, you could get an additional podcast episode every week. They usually run an hour and a half because it's me and Andrew talking about the NBA at large, and I can't shut up when I talk about the NBA because I love getting to talk about the NBA. So yeah, it's like $1 a month, or excuse me, like $1. How does this work out? Yeah, it's like $1 per hour per month for bonus podcasting. Like, you could, think about all the things you spend $1 on. You could do worse. Anyway, so that episode will be up tomorrow. Check that out. And we will be back with you with post game for the next game. And then me and Jeremy will be dropping our normal episode on Tuesday. So not tomorrow, on Tuesday. Check that out. And everybody have a good what's left of your weekend. And we will talk to you soon. Peace out.